And joining us now, Republican Mike McCaul. He serves as the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee. Mr. Chairman, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Brett.
Breaking news, obviously. What can you tell us about what you know?
This was the ninth vehicle assault used by ISIS. Remember in Nice, we saw this happen previously.
So you think this is ISIS?
I believe when an individual yells out Allahu Akbar, all the indicators and hallmarks of an act of terror, and I think that's true in this case. We know for 2 years they've called out in their internet magazine to attack by vehicle, by explosive device, or by knives and small-scale attacks. So this is very much in accordance with the directives coming out of Raqqa, out of these messages. And Brett, I believe as we are crushing the caliphate, defeating ISIS in Mosul and Raqqa, this is going to be the new sort of age or chapter of terror that we're going to see, are these vehicles, these knives, and explosive devices.
And it's obviously very hard to defend against. We're told that this was a 29-year-old man of Middle Eastern descent. There's some names floating out there. We haven't gone with them yet, that he was an Uzbek national. There's some tie to Florida. You can't pin all of that down yet.
Not yet, but this is what the FBI and NYPD call flash to bang. These cases can happen so fast. One person radicalizing very quickly and then killing 8 people. And it's probably the hardest thing to stop. A larger scale operation like the 9/11 plot, we could probably very likely stop today. This is the case that worries us the most.
The difference between self-radicalized, inspired by ISIS, and directed by ISIS, and how significant that difference is.
You know, I think those lines are blurred now because of their internet bandwidth reach globally. They can radicalize people all over the world, and it's still in the name of ISIS. We saw a picture of a cell phone at the scene of where this happened a month ago, or around August time frame, with an ISIS logo, sort of predicting that this may happen. So I think those lines are blurred.
What do you? A picture of a cell phone in this area where this attack happened today,
with the ISIS logo on it. And I think investigators are looking at that photo to find out it was posted on the website of ISIS in August. And so that's something that investigators are looking at right now in terms of, are there other people involved? Right now it looks like this is a lone wolf case.
So we heard from authorities there in New York about the efforts to talk to these truck rentals, car rental dealerships around New York City, to engage them, to say if there's anything suspicious to tell us. Obviously this was a rental pickup truck, and that is something that sends up red flares for authorities?
I think the SHIELD program in New York to reach out to find anybody suspicious renting these vehicles, of course, to stop them. Remember the '93 World Trade Center bomber, Ramzi Youssef, used a Ryder rental truck to blow up the World Trade Center. So this is nothing new to New York, and unfortunately they're the #1 target, and this event happened very close to Ground Zero. We're worried about the Halloween parade tonight, but also the New York Marathon on Sunday, I think, is very much on the radar of law enforcement.
So this would be the first ISIS attack, I guess, if it turns out to be that, self-radicalized, since when? I mean, Orlando?
You know, Orlando was a big case. You had in Ohio a vehicle attack, but it was very marginalized. So I think the biggest one probably since Orlando attacks.
ISIS took credit, at least publicly, for Las Vegas, but that never panned out.
That didn't pan out at all. And the databases, they ran his name through all the FBI databases. That was not relayed to ISIS.
When you look at this today, what do you think? Are you surprised that this hasn't happened more to us as a country?
Yeah, I'm always surprised this hasn't happened more. And again, as we crush the caliphate, you're going to see this branching out and trying to conduct more small-scale operations. But I'm very proud of what we have stopped. We stopped a Times Square bombing from occurring. Just this last month, we arrested an individual that was going to blow up Times Square. There are countless cases where the FBI and NYPD and others have taken down ISIS in the United States and stopped these things from happening. That's the good news, but we have to be right 100% of the time. Obviously, in this case, we didn't catch it.
You know, we spend a lot of time covering the story of the day, of the moment, the narrative that's ongoing here in Washington, but there are a lot of things happening below the scenes that we don't focus on. As chairman of House Homeland Security Committee, you know that. Have we stopped a lot of things in recent months?
We have stopped, again, the Times Square bombing, many plots. I can tell you the number of arrests and plots have gone down since 2015, 2016, but we still have 1,000 investigations in all 50 states.
1,000 investigations tied to what in all 50 states?
Potential terrorism.
In all 50 states?
In all 50 states. That's how broad it is. And as long as they can propagate this jihadist material over the internet, that's their bandwidth, and it's global. Until we can get these companies to take that down, we're going to continue to see this activity.
Were you surprised when you heard this today?
I wasn't. I was just having a conversation in the Capitol after our chairman's meeting with a member of Congress, talking about what a soft target that place is and how lucky we have been that we haven't seen that kind of attack take place. It's something we always worry about. It's something that always keeps us up at night. But I do think, again, the victories we've had over ISIS in Iraq and Syria have diminished their external operation capabilities out of the region. That's the good news. The bad news is the internet is still radicalizing them and instructing them how to kill people here in the United States.
And is there anything more we can do if we're going to be a free society to harden targets? I mean, this is a bike path. I mean, anybody could have driven down that bike path.
I think, again, you know, see something, say something. I do think working with the internet companies, Google, Facebook, Twitter, taking down the sermons of al-Awlaki, taking down the sermons of bin Laden, taking that stuff off of the internet so that people vulnerable to that kind of messaging won't become a radicalized individual that pops up, like in this case, and kills 8 people.
And anybody can rent a truck.
Anybody can rent a truck, and unless there is some legal basis to deny that rental, we really can't stop that.
Do they do rental receipts? Do they check through all of that about, you know, the renting of vehicles, that sort of thing?
Yeah, and then through Operation Shield, there's a very good, you know, public-private outreach that NYPD conducts. NYPD is one of the finest. They're our best, and they work closely with the FBI, the Joint Terrorism Task Forces. I go up there periodically to get briefed by, you know, the commissioner and Miller up there. But you know, and they have stopped a lot of bad things from happening. But it's just a constant wave of people out there that are looking at these images over the internet that concern us.
So just to review, you're convinced that this was an ISIS attack?
To me, it has all the hallmarks. When somebody yells Allahu Akbar in public, when somebody mows down pedestrians, and following the advice of the ISIS Sheikh Adnani, I am convinced, and it's my judgment, that this was an ISIS attack.
And now investigators look at the web of connections this guy may have had to other people.
Precisely what we want to know is anyone else involved in this? Is there a further conspiracy? Obviously with the Halloween parade tonight, but also this New York Marathon on Sunday. I know they're scrubbing everything they have right now to ensure that there's no one else connected to this awful act of terrorism that we just saw happen.
Mr. Chairman, how significant that he is still alive? Most times, or in many times, we've seen the attacker get killed or kill himself. He was shot, we're told, by a police officer, but he's been treated and is alive.
From a law enforcement prosecution standpoint, intelligence standpoint, very important because of the information inside of his head. When the Boston bomber was shot and killed, we lost all that intelligence of what he was doing in Dagestan, radicalizing. Was there any direction, say, from Iraq, Syria, or Pakistan, as we saw in the Times Square recent plot? So he has a lot of information in his head, and that's the kind of information that I know we'll be getting to the bottom of through interrogation.
And I know it's early, but you don't have any sense that this guy was on any alert or that authorities had seen him or heard of him before?
My sense as of right now is that he was not on the radar. I think this posting of the cell phone picture of the ISIS logo as far back as August, where the attack occurred, I think is going to be of interest to investigators.
And you're talking about a cell phone picture that was at roughly that bicycle path.
Correct.
On the west side.
Right.
Fascinating. Mr. Chairman, we appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on short notice.
Right, thanks for having me.